Okay, we got a great game Sunday night. It's the 4-1 Detroit Lions, winners of 4 straight games, heading on the road to play the Kansas City Chiefs, last year's AFC champions, coming off a very tough loss against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is going to be a high-scoring, exciting game, if you ask me. Let's get into it. This game preview is presented to you by Game Time. The NFL is in full swing. Tailgates, packed stands, and that buzz before kickoff. But getting in can be a nightmare. Long lines, price jumps, getting logged out mid-click. All you want is to be there, beer in hand, going crazy with the crowd. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets in just a few taps. It's easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you can trust. You'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at a great price. Plus, fees are already included, so what you see is what you pay. I was looking at tickets for this game, and I saw an amazing Game Time deal for great seats, only $188. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Gruden for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Football season is here. Whether you're grinding through the week or gearing up for kickoff, there's one ride that's always game ready, the Chevy Silverado. Built for the hustle, ready for the game. Silverado is America's most dependable full-size truck. Head to Chevy.com and learn more and build your own Chevy Silverado. Okay, it's the 4-1 Detroit Lions on the road in Kansas City playing the 2-3 Chiefs. When I picked up the schedule to start the season, I kind of thought this was a Super Bowl preview. I mean, these two teams, both of them, were number 1 seeds last year. The Lions at 15-2, the Chiefs at 15-2, but things haven't quite worked out that way for Kansas City. The Chiefs are 2-3, reeling a little bit after a disappointing loss on the road against Jacksonville last week. The Lions roll into Arrowhead, winners of 4 straight games, after everybody was on their ass early in the year after they lost to Green Bay. Woe is us, woe is me. Should have heard Malisack bitching about the freaking Lions. They look great, and they're roaring into Kansas City to see if they can keep that roar knocking on the door. Taking a look at this game, the Lions have the longest winning streak in the NFL. You wanted parity? You got parity. A 4-game winning streak is the longest winning streak in the NFL. Matter of fact, they're tied for the best record in the NFL with Jacksonville, Indianapolis, the San Francisco 49ers, Buffalo, and Tampa Bay. Those are the only teams that are 4-1. So Detroit comes in here feeling pretty good, but you got to keep things in perspective. They did beat the Bears, who's not a real powerhouse yet. They beat the Browns, not a real powerhouse. They beat the Bengals, and they really haven't put it on anybody. They beat Baltimore, who was depleted up front on defense, so I still think the Lions have a lot to prove. And the Kansas City Chiefs, they lost an unbelievable, heartbreaking game last week. When do you see Kansas City lose a 1-possession game? I mean, Kansas City had 17 straight wins in 1-possession games. This year, they're 0-3. When the heck do you see Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes lose a 14-point lead? When do they lose a game? When they have 475 yards of offense and no sacks. You never see that, but you saw it Monday night in Jacksonville. The Kansas City Chiefs are a dominant team in the AFC, obviously. 6 straight AFC championship appearances. They've gone to the Super Bowl 5 times in the last 6 years. They've won 3 of them. But right now, their back is against the wall, man. They're 2-3, and when I look at the Chiefs, I don't feel as bad about what their record is because personally, they're 2 red zone interceptions away from being 4-1. I mean, Kelsey has a chance to catch that ball against Philly, and I believe if he catches it, Kansas City's going to win that game. And that 99-yard interception, great play by Devin Lloyd last week of the Jaguars, if that doesn't happen, the Chiefs are 4-1, and all you hear is this. I'm telling you, man, the Chiefs are far from dead. I know this. When you go to 6 straight AFC championships and you run out of the tunnel with Andy Reid and Mahomes coming off a tough loss, this is going to be a tough-ass game. Trust me. Since 2003, people need to know this. The Lions are 31-8. That's the best record in the NFL. So you have two of the best coaches in the league. Dan Campbell, fiery head coach, going to go for it on fourth down. He's going to do whatever he has to do to win this football game. Did you see what he did against the Baltimore Ravens? He's going for it on fourth down. He has no fear, none, zero. And Andy Reid, one of the game's all-time great coaches. He's closing in on some historic records for winning. Tremendous battle between two great head coaches. Last week, the Lions got an impressive win against the Cincinnati Bengals. And you hear Dan Campbell talking about complimentary football all the time. Ask me what it is, Jake.
What is that?
Well, it's when all three phases of your operation contribute. I mean, last week, the offense played great. They converted on short fields, touchdowns, they moved the ball, they were efficient. Defensively, they get 3 interceptions. Amik Robertson covers Jamar Chase, gets a pick. Anzalone gets a pick. Hell's bells, Kirby Joseph intercepted his 20th pass. So they're getting help from their defense, their offense. And do you know this punter, Jack Fox of the Detroit Lions? I mean, Jack Fox pinned the Bengals inside their 5, I think 4 times. I mean, the Bengal fans had to hate Jack Fox by the end of the game. He pinned them at the 2, the 4, the 5. All 3 phases, hence complimentary football. That's why the Lions are rolling right now. Surprisingly, Kansas City did not play complimentary football, and that's what Andy Reid, Dave Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, this chief coaching staff is famous for. Last week they played good on offense, but it wasn't great because of the turnover. They also had way too many penalties. 13 penalties by the Kansas City Chiefs for 103 yards. Right now, Kansas City is 5th in the league with 42 accepted penalties. They've given up almost 360 yards in penalties. So it was the penalties. Last week, they had 4 penalties on special teams. And Harrison Butker, after they take the lead late in the game, he kicked the ball out of bounds. So there wasn't that complimentary defense and that fourth quarter pass rush, which has been a key ingredient of Kansas City's success, wasn't there last week. They got to get back to playing complimentary football. Mahomes has a can of whoop ass. Steve Spagnuolo and his defense, and Dave Tobe and Harrison Butker and these special teams, they finish you off. So let's go, Kansas City. Let's get back to our recipe for success. It's the details and the discipline on a down-by-down basis that are going to win you these close games. Both of these divisions, keep an eye on them. The Detroit Lions are 4-1 in the North, but it's tight. Every team in the North is at 500 or better. They're the only division that can say that. The Packers are 2-1-1. The Minnesota Vikings are 3-2. And looking at the Chicago Bears, they've surprisingly won 2 in a row. They're 2-2. So the Lions got to win to stay on top the North. In the West, it's wide open. The Chargers are struggling. They're 3-2. Denver's 3-2. The Chiefs are 2-3. And my Raiders are 1-4. So there you have the standings of these two divisions. What I love about the Lions, what I love about the Chiefs, is they're great in prime time. Look at these numbers. The Lions have won 7 straight games in prime time. They beat the Ravens earlier this year, 38-30 in a thriller on the road. And then they're 12-1 in their last 13 primetime games. So a lot of these big-time ball players, they're eating their dinner at the table in the hotel before they get on the bus. They can't wait to put on a show for you. The Lions have been great. The Chiefs have won 9 out of their last 10 games in prime time. So both of these teams, they love the spotlight. They love the big lights. It's going to bring out the best in them. Goff and Mahomes. Remember when Ali and Frazier fought? You remember Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard? This is kind of like that when it comes to quarterbacks. 2 of the best triggers in the NFL going head-to-head. They've only played 2 times. This will be the 3rd matchup all-time between Mahomes and Goff. The first time they met was 2018. See if you remember this game. It was Goff as an LA Ram playing at home in the Coliseum against Andy Reid, Mahomes, and the Chiefs. Final score, Jake? 54-51 Rams win. Goff won that game. He threw for 413 yards and 4 touchdowns. Mahomes, he threw for 478, 6 touchdowns. What a game. 54-51, the highest scoring game on Monday Night Football. I did a game one night on Monday Night Football. It was 12-9, Jags against the Ravens. Holy shit, why can't I get that game? 54-51, unbelievable finish. 4 lead changes in the fourth quarter, and Jared Goff hit Everett on a 45-yard pass inside of 2 minutes to win it. The other time they met was the opening game of the season, 2023. Goff and the Lions came to Arrowhead, won that game 21-20. It was Branch on a 50-yard interception return for a touchdown, and David Montgomery scored late. And the Lions won that game by 1 point. So Goff is one of the few guys who can walk around town saying, I'm undefeated against Pat Mahomes. He's 2-0. You got to know that. Both of these teams have taken care of the ball. The Lions right now are +6 in the turnover ratio. They've taken it away 9 times on defense, just 3 turnovers. They're +6. That's third in the league. The Chiefs have taken it away 6 times, and they've only turned it over twice. They're +4. That makes them 7th in the league. So both of these teams do an excellent job managing and protecting the football. You know, both of these guys come out of that air raid offense. And Mike Leach, God bless his soul, he was a really good friend of mine. Mike Leach is the godfather of the air raid. And 2 of his disciples, Sonny Dykes and Cliff Kingsbury, they got these 2 quarterbacks. Goff played for Sonny Dykes at Cal in the Bear Raid offense, man. He threw for 12,000 yards, 96 touchdowns, #1 pick in the draft. We had him on Gruden's QB class, you know. And then Cliff Kingsbury, he gets the keys to Pat Mahomes at Texas Tech. All Mahomes did in 2 years was throw for 11,000 yards and 77 touchdowns. He was the 10th overall pick. Both of them come from the air raid. Both of these guys sat, for the most part, as rookies. Remember, Pat Mahomes sat 15 games behind Alex Smith. Jared Goff, he watched Case Keenum play the first 9 games. They said, hey, Goff, get in there the last 7 games. He got his ass kicked. They lost all 7 games. But they had a chance to sit as rookies. They come out of the air raid, and both of their dads were Major League Baseball players. Isn't that something? Goff, his dad was a hell of a catcher, and Mahomes' dad, I think he won 42 games as a pitcher. So there's a lot of similarities in these 2 guys, but the thing that makes them most similar is they're productive Terminator badasses. I mean, look at these guys. Since they came into the league in 2018, Mahomes is #1 with 33,000 yards passing. He's #1 with 253 touchdown passes. Well, #2 is Jared Goff with 31,000, and Goff has 203 touchdown passes. So you're watching 2 of the great quarterbacks that have been trained in a very similar manner as youngsters. Knock on a grease board if you're with me, Jake. Let's take a look at the kickers. Harrison Butker, one of my favorite kickers in the league, still is. But he's missed at least 1 kick in each of his games this year. And he kicked that ball out of bounds the other day against Jacksonville. That's impossible. This guy's way too good of a kicker. He's got to get back into his form, you know, his championship form. I'm sure he will. Over here we got Jake Bates of the Detroit Lions. He's 6 for 8 this year, 22 for 22 on extra points. I will say Jack Fox's name one more time. This year, he has downed the ball inside the 20 11 times already, and he killed the Bengals last week. Some key injuries in this game, and I do mean key for the Detroit Lions. I mean, you got to come into Arrowhead without your starting corners. Terrion Arnold hurt his shoulder. He's not going to be here playing tonight. And obviously, DJ Reed is already on IR with a hamstring. And Taylor Decker, starting left tackle, didn't play last week against Cincinnati. And Trey Hendrickson let everybody know it. They struggled to protect the passer. They're going to miss those 3 guys. Kirby Joseph's beat up. Khalif Raymond is questionable with a neck strain. And for Kansas City, they're pretty healthy. Defensive tackle rookie Omar Norman Lott. Where the hell did you go, Omar Norman Lott? You played good. You get me excited. You didn't play last week. We hope he's going to be ready, but there is some question. Fulton, the corner that they acquired in the offseason, he's missed the last 3 games. Other than that, Kansas City is healthy, but these are 3 distinctly important injuries for the Lions. Let's get into the game. This offense-defense matchup is brought to you by Fox One. On Fox 1, you can stream your favorite live sports. So you never miss those "did you see that" moment? That means Fox NFL Sundays are on Fox 1. NFL Sundays, all streaming live the way it was meant to be watched. It's also the best way to stay locked in on your action. Whether you're sweating your fantasy matchup, tracking a parlay, or just riding the chaos as it happens. I hate watching games on delay. I gotta see it live. Start your 7-day free trial today. Offers are subject to change. Go to Fox 1 for complete terms and conditions. Okay, the Detroit Lions offense, the Kansas City Chiefs defense. We have two of the great coordinators in football right now. Johnny Morton, in his first year with the Lions as the OC, has done a great job. Detroit leads the NFL, averaging almost 35 points a game. And Steve Spagnuolo should need no introduction. He's one of the premier defensive coaches in football. He's proven that for years, especially in big games. And this qualifies as another big game. So you got the best offense, the best defense on the road in Arrowhead. This is going to be sweet. The Lions, number 1 in scoring, 6th in total. They're 7th in rushing and 12th in passing. It's a balanced offensive attack. And they have scored over 34 points in 4 straight games. If they score over 34 points against the Chiefs, they'll be the first team since the merger to do that in 5 straight games. That's saying something, isn't it, Jake?
Yep.
Jared Goff. Wow, he's great. He's completing 75%, blah, blah, blah. He is the king of RCE, recognizing defenses, communicating how to beat that defense, and it leads Detroit into high levels of execution. They walk around wearing RCE hats. If you're a young quarterback, get one. Believe in it. Like Jared Goff, it might take you to the NFL. This guy is killing it, man. They use a lot of revealing formations. A lot of times you'll see a receiver go in motion and stop just so he can recognize the coverage. Is it man or zone? Is there a blitz? They'll put a running back way outside a receiver. They'll put a tight end way outside a receiver. They'll motion them back in. Then they'll motion again. An incredible job is done before the ball is snapped to help Jared Goff get the information he needs to begin the communication phase. And once he communicates, the Lion receivers, backs, offensive linemen, they're on the same what, Jake?
Page.
The same page, man. And it allows them to kick your ass. It really does, because they're talented. And when you have good players and you're running plays into good looks, you're going to get great results. Ask Jahmyr Gibbs. Ask Amon-Ra St. Brown. Unbelievable. Goff is in complete control of this offense. The coaching staff trusts him completely to change plays, stay with plays, audible live. He can do whatever the hell he wants. And he does it on a down-by-down basis. But what I love about Goff, I've said it before, he's a continuous movement in the pocket. He's not some statue standing there like me. I mean, this guy's like a boxer in the ring, sensing throwing lanes, looking people off. He does a phenomenal job in the pocket. When I went to the Lions and watched them practice, in their pre-practice, they do a lot of drills to enhance that. Mark Brunell, their quarterback coach, does a great job. They put Goff under fire repeatedly in practice, and it allows him to check the ball down awkwardly. It allows him to create throwing lanes between these big trees, these arms that are straight up in the air. His timing, his accuracy is uncanny. And his pocket toughness, you will not find anybody better. I mean, he'll stand in there right down the gun barrel. Here, punch me, Jake. He'll throw a strike. It doesn't bother him. Bothers me, but it doesn't bother Goff. And when he throws the ball over here, when he throws the ball over there, when he throws the ball anywhere to his Lion receivers, they're all badasses. Laporta can hurt you, the backs can hurt you, and the receivers can just wear you out. And don't forget about Laporta. He's as good as them all. They're really talented. Yes? You know what else? He doesn't get bored. Goff does not get bored with success. If he has to audible to a running play because it's split safeties, he'll do it. If he has to check the ball down, he'll do it. He doesn't force plays. He doesn't play inconsistent football. That's what I love about him the most. Of course, I keep saying that. I love this about him the most. I love this about him. I love Goff. What can I say? I'm a big fan. 70% completions in 6 straight games. That doesn't happen. His consistency, his production is rivaled by no one. The ball distribution is awesome. They've got 6 different receivers with the touchdown catch. He's excellent against the blitz. This is big because we all know Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs love to blitz. If you look at Goff this year, 76% complete, 146.8 QB rating against the blitz. You might not want to blitz this son of a bitch. He might blitz you, and that's a real bold statement. You know, when you get blitzed as a quarterback, you might have to throw the ball hot. What is a hot? Well, they got one free rusher. We don't have enough protectors. You throw the ball to your hot receiver. He does that. If he can, he will audible and eliminate the hot by maximizing the protection. A lot of times he'll see something over there and just give you a hand signal. His mastery of the system, his disciplined approach is really unbelievable and fun to watch. He's an excellent play-action passer. In 2024, his statistics under Ben Johnson, well documented, no reason to bring them up. But under John Morton this year, 32% of Jared Goff's passes are play-action passes. He's got a 137 rating, 419 yards, 5 touchdowns. Those numbers lead the NFL. When you have a running game like Detroit has, faking it to those guys is really exciting because the linebackers step up and there are some big vertical cavities in behind them. They do an excellent job marrying the running plays with the bootlegs and the play-action passes. It's a credit to Johnny Moe and his assistants. The Lions' running game is very diverse. They have an excellent offensive line coach. They put together a lot of different kinds of runs, wham plays, zone plays, gap plays, perimeter toss plays. They have every run you can conceivably think of. And they have 2 great backs, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They're different, but they're both exciting and they're very physical. What they do is they complement one another. They also keep each other fresh. It's kind of like tag team wrestling, you know? Gibbs is in the ring, kicking the shit out of you. It gets a little tired. He reaches out. Here comes Montgomery. And it's just relentless. I love it. And they don't have to change the playbook. Hell, we had a lot of different backs when I was coaching. But sometimes when Charlie Garner came in the game, we called different plays for him than we did for Ricky Waters. Or when Napoleon Kaufman was in, we called different plays for him than we did for Tyrone Wheatley. But when these guys come in, I don't think John Morton cares. He calls the same runs for Gibbs. He calls the same runs for Montgomery. And what's really cool is I believe they push each other. You know that? I guarantee you they're down there saying, come on, man! They're pushing each other, challenging each other to do as much damage to a defense as they can. It's a credit to them, man. Great competitors. They don't have any tendencies, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, when Gibbs is in the game, they're not running this play. And when Montgomery's in the game, we're not running these plays. They have no tendencies. And the Lions are 14-0 when Gibbs and Montgomery score a touchdown in the same game. Can you believe that, Clay? Emmitt Smith and Moose Johnson are the only guys that had a touchdown in the same game 14 times. If Gibbs and Montgomery do it again, they take down the all-time rushing king. That would be something, yes? The great thing about this running game is they can wear your ass out. But they also set up the play-action passes and the bootlegs because they're excellent ball handlers. And if you're a young back out there, you got to be as good without the ball as you are with the ball. You got to be able to pick up blitzes. You got to be able to be a good faker. And both Gibbs and Montgomery do that. If they ever get a loaded box, it's very cool. They'll bring Amon-Ra St. Brown, number 14. They'll bring him in here and they call it search blocking. So if they try to bring that 7th guy in there, you'll see Amon-Ra St. Brown come in motion and he'll come in there and inject himself, man, and blast these safeties, man. It is unbelievable the perimeter blocking that these Lions receivers do for this running game. Sorry for grinding on it so long, but boy, it sure does excite me. Surprisingly, when I look at the Lions right now, they're using a lot of different personnel groupings. If you watch the end of the Cincinnati games, there's 3 tight ends, 1 back and 1 receiver. I call it 13 personnel. Of course, they use 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end, 3 receivers. They're using 2 running backs at a time, Gibbs and Montgomery. So that's 21 personnel. 2 backs, 1 tight end, 2 receivers. But they're really using a lot of 12 personnel. How many running backs in 12 personnel, Clay?
1.
Outstanding. How many tight ends, Jake?
2.
Woo, you guys are rolling. They use 12 personnel, and everybody knows Laporte is a great tight end, but nobody talks about Brock Wright. But you're going to hear Brock Wright's name a lot from me because he is an unbelievable part of this Detroit Lion offense. I want to show you some of the formations that they use when they get to 12 personnel. You can't find Laporta because Wright is in the backfield. He's on the line of scrimmage. He's off the line of scrimmage. He's in motion. Where's Laporta? They do a great job with formations in 12 personnel. We got Trey Wright. You see the 2 tight ends right there together on the right side of the formation. If we call Troy Wright, they switch. Brock Wright will go inside of Laporta. We could call Trio Wright, and both of these tight ends line up outside the tackle. It's a completely different way to set the edge. Trey Wright, Troy Wright, and Trio Wright. And guess what? They don't just line up in these formations. They'll shift 2 or 3 times to create them. It really causes problems for the defense. Then we'll have an empty formation. We'll line up in Trey Wright tight, but they'll take Jahmyr Gibbs and they'll line him up all the way out there to the left. We call that the A alignment. So they could call Trey Wright tight A and put Jahmyr Gibbs outside Jamison Williams, who's in a tight split. They could put them together in a bunch formation. One of them is off the ball, one of them's on the ball, and you have Amon-Ra St. Brown tight. They could line up in bunch right. You put all 3 receivers to the right, 2 of them are tight ends. One's on the ball, one's off the ball, and you see St. Brown close on the outside, creating a 3-man bunch. They could call flank right. Put 2 tight ends together with a slot formation the other way. And now you have a running strength on one side of the formation, a speed strength of the passing formation on the other. Or you could call snug right. 1 tight end is off. The wide receiver's in a 3 to 4 yard split on the ball right outside of them. And the other tight end is off the ball and the wide receiver's on the ball in a 3 yard split. It's a snug formation. The Lions are famous for these compressed sets. And then Brock Wright will get into the backfield. He'll become a fullback. It's still 12 personnel, but Laporta will be on the line of scrimmage to the right, and Brock Wright's the fullback. And then I saw him run red right. Don't ask me why we call it red. I'll get a headache. But you see, Brock Wright is the halfback on the weak side of the formation. Laporta's the tight end on the strong side. They ran a handoff crack sweep, a play I haven't seen since 1983. They line these tight ends up here. They line them up there. They line them up everywhere. Let's take a look at Kansas City's defense, led by Steve Spagnuolo. They do a nice job, but I really haven't seen it unleashed for 60 minutes. We saw glimpses of it against the Baltimore Ravens, but at the end, you saw the long touchdown run. I'm anxious to see this championship defense. They got a lot of guys wearing these big rings on their finger. I can't wait to see it show up because the bigger the challenge, the better they have always played. And this is their biggest challenge. They're 2-3. They just gave up 31 points to Jacksonville. People are questioning their effort. Ask Chris Jones. I promise you this. This will be the greatest freaking performance of the season by Kansas City's defense. They're 13th in scoring defense, 13th in total defense. They are 21st against the run. They have struggled a little bit against the run. It's been suspect at times. They have given up 18 runs of 10 yards or more. Hello! You don't want to have that against Gibbs and Montgomery. And I believe this, the left tackle of the Detroit Lions, if it's Gio Manu, number 59, he only started his first game last week against Cincinnati. If Manu starts at left tackle, the Kansas City Chiefs got to put George Karlaftis and Chris Jones over there, and they got to have a payday. That is a matchup that they must get after. But when you watch Kansas City, George Karlaftis, number 56, he plays 80% of the plays. Chris Jones, number 95, he plays 80% of the plays. Well, who else? Who else is their guys? I study play time to find out who their favorite guys are. Charles Omenihu, number 90, he's their third guy at 58%. Where is Mike Dana at, man? He's been injured. He's been in a funk for a while. They got to get some more people to come to the party against these Lions. They struggled last week against Trevor Lawrence. He scrambled all over the place. He scored 2 touchdowns. They don't have to worry about that against Jared Goff. He's going to stay in the pocket. But Goff has completed 75% of his passes. The Chiefs surprisingly have given up 68% complete. Can you imagine giving up 67.8 complete? That's not good. That is a high number. That's the highest completion percentage against the Chief defense since 2008 when they gave up 66%. They went 2-14 that year. So we got to get some balls batted down. We got to get more PBUs. We got to put Goff under pressure to make him abort some of these throws. Otherwise, it could be a long night. The other thing that I concentrate on with Kansas City is crunch time. The best thing I think Kansas City's done on defense in the last 3 or 4 years is close you out at the end of the game. That's why they've won 17 straight one-possession games. But these 3 losses Kansas City has are one-possession games. And in the second half of those 3 losses, opponents are 9 for 17 on 3rd down. They're 2 for 2 on 4th down. So I expect Steve Spagnuolo and his staff to have a couple blitzes, a couple disguises for Goff at crunch time. That has to change. They got to have their best stuff at the end of the game. They didn't have it clearly against the Jaguars on Monday night. The other thing is we've already talked about Goff's ability with play-action passes. I mean, their numbers are off the charts. They lead the league in touchdowns and yards. Kansas City has struggled with the play-action pass. They're giving up 12.4 yards per pass. That's number 1 in the league. So they got to do a better job playing off a recovery. I mean, you bite on a fake, get the hell out of there and run to your coverage positions. I think to simplify things, I think this has to be the most intense game of the year for the Chiefs. The intensity level has to rise. The number 1 run in the Lions offense is the duo play. They got a double team on the right side. They got a double team on the left side. And they'll keep running that duo until you do something about it. So they got to get off blocks. They got to run through backers. They got to match the intensity of these Lion running backs and this Lion offensive line. They got to get their pad level down. That's very important. And then they got to be prepared for the fake duo play-action passes that are just terrorizing defenses. Spagnuolo has always been unpredictable, and he's going to be unpredictable in this game. He's going to give the Lions some unscouted looks. He's going to try to challenge Goff at the line of scrimmage. Don't be surprised if you see Goff check out of a play, and then when he checks, Kansas City will check out of the blitz into another defense. This is one of the few professional defenses that has as many audibles on their side of the ball as the offense has on theirs. All right, these matchups up front, very important. The left tackle for the Lions. If it's not Taylor Decker who's got that sore shoulder, I promise you, Gio Manu, number 59, he'll be making his second start in the noise against the Kansas City Chiefs. He's going to see George Karlaftis. Karlaftis has had a great year. He plays 80+% of the snaps, and he is their best pass rusher right now. Karlaftis leads the Chiefs with 3.5 sacks, 27 tackles. He's 3rd in the league in pressures behind Aiden Hutchinson and Nick Benito. And he has an arsenal of moves, and he's got a great motor. He could give Manu fits. The one thing that was strange to me last week when I watched Manu against the Bengals is Hendrickson got him, Osai got him for the Bengals. Manu's in a 3-point stance. He's got his hand on the ground. He's in a 3-point stance. Very few tackles are in 3-point stances. Hell, some of these tackles barely even get into their stance anymore. So I wouldn't mind seeing Manu get up in his stance a little bit so he can feel this rush and get out of his stance a little bit quicker. The Lions have 2 young guards. We've talked about them before, Christian Mahogany and Tate Ratledge. Both are physical, getting better, and Graham Glasgow made the move into center to start the season. Frank Ragnow retired. Right tackle, Penei Sewell, good God. You take a look at all of his 157 pass blocks. How many sacks do you think he's given up, Jake?
0.
None. He rarely gives up a pressure. Very athletic, very talented. So if you were George Karlaftis, would you want to be over here on Sewell, or would you want to go over here on a guy who's just starting his career? Think about it. And Chris Jones, number 95. He's only got 1 sack. He took a lot of heat this week, rightfully so, for that last play of the game. But he still is one of the all-time badasses in the league. And I promise you, he's not going to be a happy man. So he's going to get his turns over here against Manu, and he's going after these guards because Jones still has fastballs, man. Power, speed, and he's got tenacity, and he's playing 80% of the snaps. But who else is it going to be? They got 3 guys, Omar Norman Lott, who might not play, Jerry Tillery, Noddy. They've only played 117 snaps combined. They're going to need a lot more from number 90, Charles Omenihu. He can play inside or out. He plays about 60% of the time. Hear that noise? That's Charles Omenihu's wake-up call. Let's go, brother. We need a big outing from him. I do think the Kansas City Chiefs got to get a little bit more out of other players besides Jones and Karlaftis. One of the guys is Mike Dana, number 51. He was a big part of their Super Bowl run a couple years ago. He's had some injuries the last couple years. But number 51, let's go. Let's see it, Mike Dana. Some of the great matchups you'll see are these linebackers of the Chiefs against these running backs of the Lions. Can't say much more about Gibbs and Montgomery. Montgomery's at 310 yards. Gibbs has 325. Gibbs has 22 catches. These are go-to badasses. But this Nick Bolton, number 32 of the Kansas City Chiefs, he leads them in tackles with 46. He blitzed almost every play against the Ravens. He's going to come up in that A-gap, and Gibbs and Montgomery, they'll be padded up. They'll be snapped up, ready to go. It'll be fun to watch. Drew Tranquill, 27 tackles, a couple sacks. He doesn't miss a lot of tackles, man. He's been very good in space. So Kansas City does have 2 good linebackers to match up with these very talented backs of the Lions. Sam Laporta at tight end for the Lions. He was hurt a lot last year, but they're going to him in key situations now. 21 catches, 269 yards. He had a hell of a game last week, including a touchdown against the Cincinnati Bengals. But look for Brock Wright. Quietly, number 89 has 2 touchdowns, 5 catches for 40 yards. But Brock Wright can play tight end. He can play fullback. He can play in the slot. He's an excellent blocker in their play-action passing game. They have 2 very good tight ends. The safety for the Chiefs, Brian Cook, has quietly had a heck of a year. He plays in the post. He can play in the box. He's got coverage ability. He's a green dot, very knowledgeable communicator in this Steve Spagnuolo defense. And Jaden Hicks is playing the other safety in the base. Now, one of the things I look for is how the hell do these corners match up against these Lion receivers? Well, they have a shutdown corner over here in Trent McDuffie. McDuffie's QB rating against is 62.8. That puts him in the top 12. He had a big interception last week. But Trent McDuffie, he can play outside or inside. And knowing that Amon-Ra St. Brown can line up anywhere, don't be surprised if McDuffie doesn't go inside. The nickel corner for the Chiefs, Connor, number 27, he's been a productive tackler. He's got 33 tackles. He's got some hits on the quarterback, but he has been struggling in pass coverage. He had that pass interference penalty in the goal line last week. He's been targeted quite a bit. Perhaps we want to move Trent McDuffie inside to go get Amon-Ra St. Brown and use our rookie corner, Noel Williams, on the outside. That might be an option Steve Spagnuolo considers. And on the other side, this Jalen Watson, number 35, he's had a hell of a year. He's got a 68.2 rating, putting him in the top 15. He's got a pick, he's got a sack, he's got ball skills. This guy's a good player, and he's got some length. So I love McDuffie and Watson. I think Noel Williams could play a big role in this game. They got to deal with Amon-Ra St. Brown. What a badass he is. Already talked about him as a blocker. Do you know that the completion percentage when Goff looks for St. Brown is 85%? It's almost automatic. Hell, Dan Campbell says it's an art form. That's pretty good. Amon-Ra St. Brown's got 39 touchdowns as a Lion. One more touchdown. That puts him third all time behind a great Calvin Johnson and Herman Moore. He's really effective in the slot. He's a go-to guy in critical situations. 6 touchdowns already this year. And in key moments, that's where you're looking. On the other side, keep an eye on their rookie, Isaac Teslaw. He's only got 3 catches for 24 yards, but his role is increasing, especially if Khalif Raymond doesn't play because of the neck. Teslaw had a touchdown last week against the Bengals. You got to see this guy when he's one of those gunners on the punt team. Good God. He gets off blocks and he has great speed. We're all waiting on Jameson Williams and the chemistry with Goff to show up. Only had 1 catch, 1 target last week against the Bengals. Just 11 catches for Jameson Williams in 5 games. But Williams can burn it, man. He's got 11 catches, over 20 yards a grab. But these corners against these receivers, very important that they play some man coverage and load up the box to stop some of this running game from the Lions. Okay, the Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, and the Lions defense led by young defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepherd has some equally intriguing matchups. The Chiefs are surging right now on offense. 37 points 2 weeks ago against the Ravens, 28 points last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's exciting. 475 yards of total offense, 7.5 yards a play, and no sacks. It's only happened 6 times in the Kansas City Chiefs franchise history. That's how efficient they were, minus 1 play last week. And deep down, I know this. If not for that interception against the Eagles and that pick against the Jaguars, it might be a totally different 4-1 Kansas City outlook right now. But this team looked like the vintage Kansas City Chiefs of old the last couple weeks, man. Last week against the Jaguars, 8 different receivers. The distribution of the ball was excellent. They had a running game. Kareem Hunt broke a long run. Mahomes ran around and scrambled. Mahomes, he shows great mental toughness. As soon as that guy ran that ball back, Devin Lloyd, 99 yards, what did Mahomes do? He brings Kansas City right back at the end of the game to take the lead. I look for Kansas City to put their foot on the gas. They know they got to win a shootout potentially, so I think Kansas City's going to be in 4-down territory. I look for Andy Reid and Matt Nagy to be very aggressive with their play calling. The Jaguars played a lot of zone last week against Mahomes. And when I looked at the numbers, Mahomes was 27 out of 32 against the zone. And this pass protection of the Chiefs is so much better than last year. Mahomes is able to get through progressions and use all 5 of his eligibles. I expect Detroit to play a lot more man because that's their style, and they're going to use a lot more blitzing because that's what they do. Last week, Kansas City was just 2 for 9 passing against the Jaguars when they were in man-to-man coverage. When you look at Kansas City's pass offense this year in 5 games, obviously there's a lot of great stuff. But when they've been blitzed, their numbers are a little bit down. 27th in the league in completion percentage, 26th in passer rating, and 26th in yards per pass. So I think Kelvin Shepherd, his staff, they're going to be looking at these blitzes, the production that they've had against Kansas City, and dial up some of their own. They got to improve against pressure, and I think that's what Andy Reid and Matt Nagy are focusing on. The Chiefs are using every blade of grass on offense. They got the quick passing game. They get a lot of their yardage after the catch, as they always have. But they're pushing the ball down the field. They're throwing bombs to Tyquan Thornton. I mean, this guy's averaging 20 yards a catch, 3 catches for 90 yards last week. They'll throw it over your head. They'll throw it laterally. They'll throw it in the middle of the field. The ball distribution's been great. And the pass protection is incredibly better than what it was a year ago. This left tackle, Simmons out of Ohio State, good God, he's a difference maker, man. He could block the sunlight out, man. This guy's something else. And Suamataia, number 76, a man who was brought in to play left tackle, isn't just settling in at left guard. He's starting to kick some ass in there. This young side has been very impressive. And you forget Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith are two of the very best at their positions at center and right guard. So when you get great pass protection, you feel like diagramming more deep passes. That's what Andy Reid and Matt Nagy are doing. And you throw the ball deep more often. And Mahomes, knowing that he has guys that can go get it, he's giving them opportunities down the field. So don't be surprised against all these backup corners of the Lions that Kansas City doesn't shoot to thrill. You like that song by AC/DC? God, I wish I could play that for you right now. Shoot the thrill. Pull the trigger. Pull it. Is that what they say in there? God, I love Brian Johnson. Anyways, the Chiefs do a great job possessing the football. I think that's another winning edge here. They got to keep Goff, keep this offense on the sideline. Kansas City averages 7 plays per drive. Far and away number 1 in the NFL. Last year, 6.7 plays per drive. So ball possession, it's not a stat everybody runs home and says, hey, the Chiefs had 33 minutes of possession. That's a winning edge in this football game. The Chiefs score when they get the ball. They score 51% of the time every time they get the football. 3.7 points, that's one of the top statistics in football. The running game is finally starting to emerge. Kareem Hunt had 7 carries and 49 yards last week. He broke off a 30-yard run, and he showed you that trademark Kareem Hunt stiff arm. Pacheco, since that injury last year, 13 games back, he hasn't gone over 55 yards yet. And Kareem Hunt now has 43 carries. Pacheco has 39. That might tell us perhaps Andy Reid is leaning towards Kareem Hunt. The leading rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs is their quarterback, Pat Mahomes. 190 yards rushing. Only problem is when Mahomes leads the Chiefs in rushing this year, they're 0-3. Love to see these two running backs play a big part in this game plan. The Lions defense, new defensive coordinator, Kelvin Shepard. I've seen the Lions play better and better and better on defense. All starts with 9 takeaways. They really took advantage of Cleveland. They took advantage of Jake Browning last week. They got him 3 times. They're doing an excellent job. The big reason for these turnovers is the pressure they're getting on the quarterback. 8.6% is their sack rate, meaning every time a quarterback drops back to pass, what's the percentage of sacks? The Lions are at 8.6. That's 3rd in the league. And they're 2nd in the NFL in pressures. So they're getting a lot of hits. They're getting a lot of action around the quarterback. That's big. The Lions have 16 sacks as a team this year. They have 8 different players with sacks. So it's not just Hutchinson who leads with 5. There's a lot of other guys contributing as well. Even the run defense is better this year than last year. They were 22nd last year, giving up 4.5 yards a carry. This year they're up to 11th, almost under 4 yards a carry. They're doing a hell of a job. And 20% of the runs against the Lions are stuffs. That means you get nothing. Tyleik Williams, the rookie, DJ Reader, they clog up the middle. Jack Campbell, these guys are very instinctive. They knock the shit right out of you. It's a very physical group. And they also have a very aggressive scheme. And Kelvin Shepard, he uses a lot of different approaches. They'll use 4-man overloads. You'll see Anzalone and Branch come to create a 4-man surface. They got home against Chicago repeatedly. They use a lot of load fronts. They put 3 down linemen on one side of the center, and they do a lot of stunting. And then they'll cover the opposite guard and isolate Hutchinson. This load jam package has been very effective. They also use what I call double trouble. They create a load front with 3 down linemen. There's Hutchinson isolated, and they put 2 linebackers in the A and the B gap, and they create a lot of different problems for you. They also have double A's. 4 down linemen, they put 2 linebackers in each A gap. And they'll blitz, they'll bluff, they play multiple coverages. And then they have this 3 down package. A defensive end, and a nose tackle, and they'll cover both guards with athletic linebackers. And this Derek Barnes, number 55, he can blitz, he can rush, he can cover, he can spy on a quarterback. Derek Barnes, number 55, is a pain in the ass. They have a lot of volume And it really has caused fits for quarterbacks. And it's a big reason why they get so much pressure. One of the big issues in this game for Detroit is plaster. Mahomes is going to scramble. He's got 190 yards rushing, and he's going to create down the field opportunities. So you got to hold your coverage. And I go back to that word spy. You'll see a guy like Derek Barnes, all right? If that back stays in and blocked, he might go blitz and add on to the quarterback. He might also just spy on Mahomes. If Mahomes starts scrambling around, he just goes and takes the quarterback. But they're going to add on and green dog the quarterback. They're going to spy Mahomes. They've got to eliminate his scramble drill second reaction offense. They're going to play a lot more man-to-man than the Jaguars did. Detroit will play single high man-to-man. They'll play two deep man under. They'll do a lot of different combination coverages, but they love to play man-to-man. So the playbook for Matt Nagy and the Chiefs is going to have to change. Couple struggles for the Lions. They're not playing great in the red zone. They're 25th in the league right now. Offenses are scoring 67% of the time. They got to fix that. They've given up 10 touchdown passes and 16 passes of over 20 yards. So they've been hurt down the field, and they've been hurt in the red zone. They have a depleted secondary. When you lose Terrion Arnold and DJ Reed, you're losing a lot. So they got to prove that they can handle this Kansas City pass offense with some backup players. Let's get into the matchups. The Chiefs' offensive line, I can't tell you how impressed I am with their young left side. Simmons, the rookie out of Ohio State, and Sia Mataya, the second-year player out of BYU, have really done a nice job, individually and collectively picking up stunts. The center, Creed Humphrey, the right guard, Trey Smith, are at the top of the league. They're great players, and we all know Jawan Taylor's very athletic. He's a physical right tackle. Just got to minimize the penalties. He's had a lot of penalties in the last couple years. The Lions' defense, it all starts with Aiden Hutchinson. Hutchinson is unbelievable. Coming off the big injury last year, forget about comeback player of the year. How about defensive player of the year? How about badass of the year? I mean, 92% of the plays the guy plays. He plays on the right side 51% of the time, the left side 49% of the time. Sometimes he goes inside. Where the hell is he? He's going to test Simmons. He's going to test Jawan Taylor. He's going to test whoever he goes up against. I love watching him play 5 sacks. His factor grade is tremendous. Hits on the quarterback, penalties he causes, batted passes, negative yardage run plays. Tight ends can't block him. Very few people can. They're going to have a help protection plan for Hutchinson. The other guy that's really impressive is Muhammad, number 96. I mean, Davenport, number 92, is out. So they go to Muhammad, just like they did last year. Here's a guy that plays 43% of the plays, but he's got 3.5 sacks, 19 pressures, and he hustles his ass off. I love Muhammad, man. He's really playing well. So they have 2 good players on the edge. Inside, it's the rookie, Tyleik Williams. He had a batted ball last week against Cincinnati. Not a lot of pass rush production, just a couple tackles. We're still waiting on some of that Aleem McNeil movement that we heard about in training camp. DJ Reader, number 98, good luck running the ball when he's in the game. But 2 good run defenders, 2 good edge defenders. Keep an eye on this Derek freaking Barnes. He missed 15 games last year. Barnes wears 55. 34 tackles, 17 solos, and 2 sacks. He is as versatile as any Lion. He can cover, he can rush, he can spy, and he can blitz. This guy's a dangerous football player. I like what he's doing. They have a couple backups that are notable. Number 51 is Lopez, who came over from Arizona. He gives him another inside rusher. He's solid. And Trevor Nowaski, I like this guy, number 53. He'll play in that 3-down double bubble blitz scheme. He's a pain in the ass. He's got high effort. And they also use Lacey, number 78. And they have this number 95, Pat O'Connor, out of Eastern Michigan. They'll roll some guys at you to keep people fresh, but you'll rarely see Hutchinson come off the field. The Chiefs are seeing more and more of Travis Kelce on offense lately. I love it. Last week he had 7 catches and 61 yards against the Jaguars. He scored a touchdown. Kelce for the year, his numbers are up. 22 catches, 243 yards. He's going to have to be a factor in this game as a pass receiver. And when Kelce goes out, there's a good chance he sees one of these 2 great safeties of the Lions. Brian Branch, number 32. What a player he is. He can play nickel, he can play safety, he can play linebacker, and he can cover you. One of the reasons why Detroit can play so much man coverage is they got safeties that can cover your tight end and your third receiver, and Brian Branch is that guy. He's a badass. Kirby Joseph, 20 picks in 4 seasons, a ball hawk. You make a mistake, you telegraph a throw, it's over. This guy's an Iceman. Guy has great range and anticipation. And now on the outside, if you really look at these matchups, they favor the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember, next week, the Chiefs play the Raiders, and Rashee Rice comes back, their number 1 receiver. But they welcome back Xavier Worthy a couple weeks ago. He's got 11 catches, 125 yards the last 2 weeks. He's a threat on these jet sweeps. And he's going to see Amik Robertson, number 21. The former nickel corner has had to move outside because of the injuries at corner. Amik got beat on a double move by Chase last week for a touchdown. He also had an interception against Jamar Chase. He has no fear, this guy. I coached him with the Raiders. He will battle his ass off. Be alert for a double move. Amik Robertson on the outside. Undersized, former nickel, but he's got a lot of guts, and he's got ball skills. On the other side, Rock Ya-Sin, former Indianapolis Colt, former Raider. He goes to training camp this year, hoping to make the team as a backup corner, perhaps a safety. He is now the starting left corner, obviously, with the injury to Arnold and the injury to Reed. He's wearing number 23. And Hollywood Brown, the leading catcher for this offense, has 26 catches, 257 yards. And don't lose sight of Tyquan Thornton, the ex-New England Patriot. We said it the last time we have the Chiefs. This guy can fly. He's got 3 touchdowns, 3 for 90 last week, and Mahomes is clearly looking for him. Andy Reid is staying up at night late, designing deep shots for Thornton. So they got some issues now with the unknown Rock Ya-Sin, and they got Amik Robertson playing outside, which he did a little bit last year when they had some injuries. But that opens the door for Avonte Maddox to play inside. Maddox is experienced. He's got over 3,500 snaps in the NFL, but the Chiefs will use an array of different receivers in the slot. Juju Smith-Schuster will be in there. Kelce will be in there. Thornton will be in there. They'll use a lot of different guys in the middle of the field, and they'll test Maddox. They'll test Amik Robertson, and they'll test Rock Ya-Sin. It'll be interesting. But the heartbeat of this defense, to me, is Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell, 46 tackles. He wanted a little bit more ownership of the defense. And Kelvin Shepard, who's an ex-linebacker in the NFL himself, he said, "You got it." This is a cat that's playing his ass off. That sack strip fumble against Lamar Jackson, it gives you goosebumps, man. He's got 46 tackles, 15 more than any other Lion. And you watch him communicate. You watch him get off blocks. I mean, a guard gets up on him, he sheds him. Shia! And then he fires his gun and makes a tackle. What's that noise I made? Shia? Fire? I don't know. Shit! Fire! Hiya! Shia! Fucking Jack Campbell. I love Campbell. Love him. He's a workaholic, a knowledge freak, and he's a great communicator. They also have Alex Anzalone. How about this guy Anzalone covering guys last week? 3 PBUs. He has an interception. He has 28 passes broken up since he's been a Lion. He could be a corner. This guy does a great job. He's got a sack and a half, and he has a playing style. I love the playing style of both these guys. This is going to be a hell of a game. The Lions, there is no Davenport, no McNeil. There's no DJ Reed. There's no Terry and Arnold. Every year you say, woe is me. But Dan Campbell, he'll have them ready. This is going to be a fourth quarter fist fight. It's going to be a one-possession game. I can't wait. Well, my picks haven't been very good. I admit that. But I'm about to go on a roll, man. Because this Sunday night, Harrison Butker, blasts one right through the uprights at the buzzer. Chiefs 27, Lions 24 in one hell of a football game. See you then.